Today we're reviewing my Kershaw Irridium. It's a KE2038. It is my everyday carry personal knife. I got this at House of Knives, like actually in a store, which is shocking, for about 115 bucks. I think it was, that was the price of the knife, and I ended up getting it 10% off, so basically no tax. And it's beautiful. I had a different Kershaw knife as my personal knife prior, which I'll do a review on later, and I decided to get this one. In the end, this is an upgrade in basically every way. I obviously had done a review on the Kershaw Blur before, and it is also a great knife, but I felt like that's a work knife and this is a personal knife. So this is what I carry every day. And honestly, I'm opening boxes with this. I'm cutting down cardboard. I'm, maybe cutting fabric, or, maybe occasionally chipping off some wood trim pieces, something along those lines. It's not getting heavy use. I'm not separating bricks and mortar. I'm not doing a lot of heavy duty types of activities with this particular knife. And honestly, I think it's capable of a lot more than what I would use it for. But you can see it's a beautiful knife. It is a D2 blade. And you can see, I think I mentioned it already, but it's the 2038 in D2. So there's a satin finish. I think it's a really nice Spearpoint type of blade. I think the satin finish is nice. They did a good job with it. I might need to clean this a bit better, but you can see that it's nice. It's not reflective. You can't see yourself in it, so it won't show the wear as much, but it's also not stonewash either. So I think that I like that. I liked the look of it, which is why I went with this one. I could have gotten stonewash or black, but I wanted something a little different, and I like the way this goes together. Gray anodized aluminum scales. Looks nice too. They're rounded. They feel substantial, which is great. The knife stands up like that on its own, which is great too. I think it's I call it burnt copper. That's what it looks like to me. I don't think you can argue that that's what that is. I've heard some people call it brown. It's burnt copper. It's definitely got too much red in it to be brown, but that's fine. I mean, there's red box right beside it, but it certainly is a burnt copper. And it's nice. It's obviously got a huge, you can put it as a lanyard hole there, but yeah, it's got a light gray, almost trying to match the blade maybe, pocket clip, and it's deep carry for sure. You can see here how deep that gets on the handle, and it only exposes a little bit on the end here for sticking out of your pocket, so it's pretty discreet. Would I prefer black or gray or burnt copper clip? Yes. I think that it's not the same as the blade. It's probably the same as the thumb stud, but it looks fine, but I just feel like if I was to be really picky, I'd prefer that to be a different color. Overall, its tension is actually very tight. And the sounder shank screws are great too. I want to get to the configuration here. So again, Spearpoint D2. I'm not a metalsmith. I don't know every difference and tensile strengths of different steels and whatnot. I just know as an everyday carry knife for me, D2 is probably more than I even need at all. But its apparent edge retention is amazing. However, its apparent ability to sharpen and resist corrosion is lesser than stellar. So it's one of those things where if you are maintaining your personal carry knife with oils and things, it'll probably never corrode on you and you'll be happy forever. And if you have a proper or decent sharpening system, I don't think the D2 will ever disappoint, and that you'll be able to bring it back to a good edge again. I have not had to sharpen this in the 2.5, 3 months, I guess, maybe even 4 months that I've had this, because it holds an edge super, super well, and I'm not using it to cut anything super substantial. So I did try to sharpen it with my, I've got this here actually. It's a WorkSharp guided field sharpener. It's got a couple different diamond plates on it, ceramic rod, leather strop. It's good. Fantastic sharpening system for what it is. And it had no problem making this sharper than it already was. And it was already, haircut razor sharp from the factory. So to make it, I felt like a little sharper, was fantastic. But so I don't think when it does eventually dull out on me that I'll have too much trouble getting it back to sharp again, but I guess we'll see. The big thing on this knife is that not only is it very pretty, has a very, what I feel like is a substantial cutting surface, but it's one of the line of the Duralock knives from Kershaw. So they used to call this with Benchmade an axis lock. Essentially, it's a solid steel crossbar, and Kershaw has decided to call it their Duralock system. I'm going to try to show you the best I can here on camera. Not a lot of room to do this, but the Duralock, as you can see, just pull this little stud down here, and the blade then releases, and even by gravity closes with like virtually no effort. And same thing with gravity to open. It just falls open and closed. It becomes like essentially loose on the ball bearing in there. Obviously, to open it, there's a thumb stud, not super aggressive, but they're there and they're catchy. So I think even with gloves on, they'd be pretty good. And it flicks open. It takes maybe a minute of practice, but overall, I would say the knife broke in fairly easily and now opens and closes perfectly. I'll try to do it in slow motion just so you can see kind of how the knife forms. You can watch the thumbs, or the stud here, watch the lock. If I open it, you can see it goes down, and then the knife comes out, and it wants to stay about midway on its own. Like I don't know, I could flick it like this if I wanted to and get it to fully open, but if I open it slowly, it goes to about there on its own. It almost assists itself open just from the friction of the lock. And then if you carry it around, you can see how it, push it with my finger here, snaps into place. And that's it. That thing is not going anywhere. It is rock solid in there. There's no blade play, and it's great. I feel like with the handle here having this thumb spot, and there's the jibbing, a little bit of jibbing on the back, like it gives you a significant leverage and a really nice cutting surface with that blade design. So I'm happy with that. It's pretty thick, actually, the blade too. But again, it's an everyday pocket carry knife using for cardboard and other menial tasks. So it's certainly more than what is required. I really do enjoy the thinness of the handle to the blade, like the profile of it. It does look like a meaty functioning knife, despite being in a nice sort of a prettier package. There's probably other knives out there that are maybe more appealing to some, but I found like for the price point of this, with the configuration that it's in and the materials that they used and the fit and finish overall from Kershaw, which I am obviously a bit of a fan of, I couldn't be too much happier about this. Really, it's going to come down to if you like the looks of it too, if you have a preference to steel type, if that's a concern for you, and realistically, if the color choices are for you. I do know that they do make other ones. I've seen a Damascus one before, and there's a couple other configurations that maybe are a bit higher end. That being said, for me, the price point of this one for what it is made the most sense. So I would recommend this as a personal carry, EDC knife. Take care.